Hey, it's your top of the morning. You could see perhaps it's about 5:45 a.m., 5:48 a.m. right now. And I had a couple of minutes to shoot a video. And so even though I said I wasn't going to do any more of these videos before closing a deal, there's so many questions I've been getting asked. And candidly as well, shooting these videos helps me really clarify exactly where we're at. So I'm happy to do a video for you, talk about some of the frequently asked questions I've been receiving as I'm negotiating with owners, as I'm doing a deep dive due diligence, and I'll be looking to put several mobile home parks under contract in the next 30 days. So I have my fourth out of 8 meetings in about a 12-day period with different owners. Right now I'm actually in a little hotel room. This is literally the last room. I had to get a double bed because when I got in here at about 10 at night, there were literally no other rooms except for this one with the doubles. So, it is what it is. I'm on the road, I'm hustling. But I've been meeting with a whole bunch of different mobile home park owners, and that's the industry that I'm naturally in, consolidating right now. And what I can tell you are a couple of things. First of all, the power of in-person, face-to-face meetings is unrivaled. This is coming from an individual who built my board almost exclusively using the cell phone and did a lot of the work with the law firms and the accounting firms. In fact, I've never met my lawyers, our international lawyers, our law firm. I never met our lawyers, right? So I'm a guy that likes to do things over the phone. If I can, I'll just make the phone call. But what I can tell you is that when you're really looking to get the best terms and build the best situation when buying a business, I deeply believe in meeting the owners face to face. You're going to learn a lot more about the business. I'm finding that owners are very candid. Business owners will really tell you pretty straight what's going on, the good, the bad, the ugly. I know in my particular industry as well, many of you have been asking, for example, hey Jason, why haven't you received all the financials before meeting with these owners? Well, the answer to that question is because in many cases in my industry, the owners I'm talking to don't have email. They don't know how to use a fax machine. They literally are operating their business as if it was running in 1969 or in 1978. Now that's good on one end because often there's opportunities to make 21st century advancements and to increase the revenue and of course then the income of the businesses that I'm looking to acquire. But it also can be a pain in the ass because I literally have to go through their books, by hand and literally go on site to actually understand the business to a deep level. They can self-report things, but if I really want to understand what's going on, I need to go deeper and do the deep diving myself. Now, this is another thing about going for off-market deals is that when you go for on-market deals, obviously an on-market deal is a deal that's being sold through a business broker or a realtor if you're in real estate, right? But in those situations, obviously the broker or the real estate agent is going to gather the key financials ahead of time and provide them to you. But when you're reaching out to off-market deals, aka deals where the owner wasn't directly promoting his or her business, then you're going to have to do a lot more deep diving and investigation. So that's one thing I've been finding is that while it takes longer to cultivate some of these off-market deals, especially for owners that are kind of back in the 20th century, they can be way more lucrative. Now, another thing I've been getting asked about is my dress. You can see here how I'm dressed. I'm not wearing the suit and tie. As you perhaps have seen in the past, I usually do wear a suit and tie. But when I'm negotiating with owners, I do not wear a suit and tie. Now, you may be thinking, Jason, you're crazy. Perception equals reality. Why aren't you wearing a suit and tie? Why are you simply wearing an undershirt, a collared shirt, and your Patagonia jacket, right? What are you doing? Well, the thing is you've heard the old phrase, birds of a feather flock together. Birds of a feather flock together. What I can tell you is that I want to be as welcoming and inviting as humanly possible for the business owners in which I'm speaking with. I can tell you that the executive summary that I share with business owners that basically outlines our team, right? And I have a board of 9, our chairman plus 8 other individuals on our executive team. That already impresses the living heck out of the owners that I'm speaking to, right? They haven't seen anything like that, maybe ever in some cases. And I'm not being facetious. I'm not joking around. That's in many cases true. For that reason, I don't need to be any more impressive than I already have presented myself and our group to be. We're already plenty impressive. We fully have their attention. What I now need to do, in my case, is to build rapport with these owners and to come off less as a suit and more as a person. In building that rapport, you're in many cases able to improve the terms of the deal. So let's talk about that, the terms of the deal now, negotiation. Let's shift gears here. One thing I can tell you is that at least in the industry I'm playing around in, is that you're going to be able to get a lower price if you're able to pay all cash up front, right? And I'm really providing 3 doors. And I believe I may have talked about this a little bit in a prior video, but I want to clarify it because I've been getting a lot of questions. Door A is an all cash upfront deal. Door B is going to involve seller finance, aka having the business pay out the pre-existing business owner over time. And then door C is most likely going to be a hey, I wish you well, aka that's the best I've got. Now, what I'm going to do in my case, and I've actually been posting a lot on Instagram. I've been told I should build up my social media platform there, and I'm keen on social media as a real side note. So connect with me on Instagram. I'll put a little shameless plug here. I've been I've been sharing a lot of my story there. First of all, the reason I'm on social media is because, for example, you have no idea how much opportunity I've been able to glean from YouTube. Some of the best individuals on our team and the Brighter Living team I found right here through YouTube. And some of you know because you're probably watching this video right now and you've helped me in sales or you're helping me with operations, right? Along those lines, I've been connected with multiple investors through YouTube. And as a side note, if you are an investor watching this video, things are coming along the pike very shortly. I have another 4 more meetings in the next 8 days. I had 2 meetings yesterday and a meeting on Monday. I'm shooting this on Wednesday, April 13th. Just making sure that this is correct. April 13th. My alarm is going off. Stop. Yeah, I'm shooting this on the 17th. I thought my computer was wrong. I'm shooting this on April 17th. Chances are by the end of April, April 30th, I'm going to have what you would call basically an investor package I'll be delivering to any and all potential investors. And I'm also going to be delivering that same package to the owners, for the owners to basically understand, why am I offering you this much for your business, for your mobile home park? What I can tell you is that depending on whether we're offering investors a first lien versus a second lien note, that's going to be a big part of the rates of return that we're offering investors, right? Because a first lien note means if anything ever did go wrong with the deal that we put together, then that investor would be the first one to gobble the deal up, right? They have the first access to repossess. Not, of course, that I ever expect a default on anything, but if you're investing your money, you obviously think about these things. And this is something to get into the line of the psychology of the seller's thinking about. So, for example, I met with a business owner last night. It was my second meeting of the day, and in real candor, I learned a valuable lesson. I never showed that I was learning on the fly, but I was. What I learned, because I said, hey, look, door A would be, say, $500,000 in cash. Whereas door B would be, and I'm using rough numbers, door B would be $800,000 paid over 7 years at a 5% interest rate. And the business owner replies, of course, hey, well, who's to say if I chose door B that you wouldn't just walk away from the deal? Because if I didn't put any money down, essentially I have nothing binding me to that deal. So after a year, if I didn't like it, I could just walk it away and let him repossess it. Now, of course, I'm not that type of an individual. When I commit to something, I commit to something, I commit to something. I'm trying to build $1 billion business. You don't do that by walking away from things that you start. I'm not a guy, when I start something, I finish it. I think you can most likely see that. You've been seeing my videos here for the last 6 months. I'm a pretty damn committed individual. So I know that, but on the other side, the owner doesn't necessarily know that. And so what that means is, many cases, if you're going to get the seller finance door to work most effectively, it works best for many sellers if you put a little skin in the game. We're talking 10 or 20% down. Now, this comes down to the idea of a first lien versus a second lien note, because if a seller is going to finance 80% of the deal, they're going to want the first lien note, aka they're going to want the repossession value of the mobile home park if I'm not able to pay off my seller note. Now, what that means is, if you're going to bring in a second lien note investor to put in the 20% down payment, that second lien note is going to pay out a higher interest rate, because if you're an investor, you want to be a first lien note carrier more than a second lien note carrier, unless, of course, if you believe in the project enough to believe the second lien note is stable, which in our case, it will be 100% stable. I would never bring a deal to an investor unless I believed it was 100% stable. And of course, we're committed to the cause, to the long term, so we would never pull out of a deal if it didn't work out right away. We stick with it and make it work. Now, what's nice is, in my industry, is there's a lot of ways to increase the equity and really the NOI, the net operating income of the businesses that we're looking to acquire. And that's, of course, really favorable because it's pretty damn easy to pay back your notes. And that's the nice thing, right? When you pick an industry and you understand that business model really well and you understand how to increase the profitability of that business, it's a lot easier to be able to pay back your notes in full and then some, and then have money to, of course, pay you, to pay your manager or your operations team, to give some kickbacks to the board so that everybody can eat. And that's the power of doing a ton of due diligence up front so that you understand the business extremely well. And likewise, that's the power of, as Dan Pena would put it, turning over a lot of rocks, or I believe he actually says kissing a lot of frogs. And I can say firsthand that is real. The more deals you look at, the more opportunities you have. And the better deals you're going to be able to present to investors. And of course, that means the more likely they are to want to invest. I know for us, we're in a very, very positive position with investors. The capital's never been the problem. There's a lot of money flowing around as of April 17th, 2019. Will that still be the case in 3 years from now? We'll see, right? It's been a bull market for quite some time now. But right now is a great time to be able to get money. But of course, money is attracted to the good deal, which is why my whole philosophy has always been on understanding the ins and outs of every single deal, and then having a whole bunch of different deal options so that I can negotiate pretty tough with each individual owner and know that, hey, if there's a 50% attrition rate, meaning if 50% of the owners I negotiate with do not agree to terms that I present them, then that means the other 50% did. And that means in my case, I may have 4 or 5 different deals that I'm able to choose from and provide to investors and say, hey, here's the menu. Which one would you like? Right? Do you want a first lien note? Do you want a second lien note? Would you like this? Would you like that? Or are you more comfortable with it? You know what I'm saying? I can literally provide a menu. It's like you're going to a 5-star steak restaurant where you're able to choose what type of wine you want with your steak, right? And that's really what I want to be able to provide investors. I can also tell you that when your deals are looking pretty hot, your board may get excited. I'm not going to name names, and I don't ever talk about the names of my board members on YouTube, but I can share with you that at minimum, 2 individuals on my board have noted to me, hey, Jason, share your deals with me before you look to get them financed in other places, before you look to get them before you look to get them funded externally. Bring your deals to me because I may want to put something in, and or the group that I represent, right? One of our individuals is with private equity, another individual just liquidated his business, and I'm talking about my board members. And so what I'm really sharing with you is that this whole model is built upon a kick-ass deal, aka a motivated seller. I've been talking about this for a long time now, and it's really the reality of the situation. Now with that, I'm trying to think if there's any other real pertinent questions I should talk about here. I guess what I can really say is that things are going really, really well for us. I know I'm not reporting, oh, we closed the deal in 84 days or 92 days. In the more I go forward with, having started with the QLA process, and I really respect Dan Pena. I think his business teachings are incredible. I respect Dan Pena's business teachings. As for some of his beliefs on politics or on, environmental situation, I don't comment on stuff like that. So I'm not here to talk about Dan Pena as a person. I'm here to talk about Dan Pena as a businessman. Obviously, I really kickstarted this YouTube channel by documenting the QLA process. But at this point, I've really made QLA my own. Not to say that Dan Pena hasn't massively helped me, because he has. He did. I went to the castle and I learned everything I could from him. But now I'm really running my business in my own way, only insofar as is that I don't believe in the hot and heavy negotiation tactics in some ways that Dan Pena uses. I take a bit more of a methodical approach, a bit more of a slow approach. I like the idea of building rapport with owners. That's something Dan Pena doesn't really teach, at least as far as what I gathered from him. It's really more of an idea of take it or fucking leave it. That's Dan Pena. His thing is either we're going to do a deal or it's either shit or get off the pot. That's how he really teaches negotiating. And I respect that. It is faster, though I do believe that in many cases you can close more deals. And as I've been talking about, I'm looking to close ideally multiple deals here in Q2, not just one. My goal is to try to close 2 or 3 or 4. And so along those lines, I'm really trying to think of the lifetime value of the customer as opposed to simply making a sale. Think of that for a second, right? Say you have 10 different individuals that are thinking about buying your product. The fastest way to make a sale is to immediately go up to each customer and say, do you want to buy this for $20? Take it or leave it. But if you're trying to make the most ultimate revenue, aka if you're trying to close the most deals, then you may say, hey, I'm thinking about $10, but I need to understand what you're looking for a bit better and to make sure this is the right product for you. What is it you'd be willing to pay? What kind of a product are you looking for? Right? And based on taking that more, say, empathetic approach to business, of course, you're going to be a little bit slower in negotiating, but I believe you can close a greater percentage of the deals you're looking at, which is my goal. I want to close every single damn deal I talk to, and that's what I've been telling our sales team from the wrap. And that's actually another thing I'll quickly touch on, because I know actually as well, now that I'm thinking about it, I've been getting a whole bunch of questions about our sales team and about operations. Well, what can I say? I mean, I could go in real depth there, but I mean, at some point you got to keep a little something to yourself, right? So what I'll say is this: because I believe many of you have believed that I'm going to be successful in what I'm doing, which of course I've believed I'm going to be successful from day one in starting this, I had a whole bunch of individuals who reached out to me who wanted to be a part of what we're doing. And I basically gave them an opportunity to make the cold calls and to reach out to motivated sellers in exchange for getting a substantial payout if and when deals close. That's the real skinny of how I put together the sales team. It's tougher to put together a sales team, I would say, if you don't have a platform like I've built here on YouTube and now I'm building on Instagram. By the way, another shameless plug at Jason Paul Rogers, right? So that's easier if you have those platforms already built, which I've somewhat been able to do ahead of time. Now, that said, of course, you could sell your way to selling salespeople. You could, in the same way you recruit a board, you could recruit a sales team. I would say that would take a lot of, for me, the sales team was pretty easy to build because I had the platform right here. And this is also how I build operations, right? We have multiple individuals who are ready to step in as park managers and to help us on operations because I've built the platform right here. So did that help me? Yeah, absolutely. Do I like to think 3 steps ahead? You're damn right I do. And I already had the plan of leveraging social media before I ever started this business model because I deeply believe in the power of social media. I like the idea of me being able to look at you and talk to you straight and come at you with opportunities and storytell and tell you what I'm up to and to see if there's synergies that you and I can create together. And so whether it's a sales team or it's operations, or now I've had investors reaching out to me through YouTube, or at least initially because they saw me through YouTube and then they've connected with me in many cases on LinkedIn, right? I love that. I'm in favor of that. And those are obviously opportunities I've been able to build for myself. And of course, you have the opportunity to turn your iPhone on and record a video like this, or to press record and to talk into a camera and with the microphone there and share your message as well. So that's of course something you're able to do. But with that, I'm going to sign out. But before I do, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you've liked this video, if you've taken value from it, thumbs it up. Share your comments below. What do you want me to talk about next? As you see, I try to get to your guys' comments. And then, of course, subscribe to me over on Instagram if you want to see behind the scenes stuff. I'm really storytelling using the story feature on Instagram, sharing insights that are coming to be on the fly when I'm negotiating, when I'm meeting with owners, and I will continue to do so. So with that, I'm out, and I'll talk to you in the next video.